You're listening to Built to Convert, the podcast where growth-minded marketers, founders, and creators come to level up. No hype, no guesswork, just bold insights that drive results. Let's go.
Hey everyone, I'm Tyler Lane, founder of Session Interactive and the host of Built to Convert. This show explores how growth-minded leaders use strategy, creative, and data to drive real business results. And today's conversation is a deep dive into innovation, collaboration, and what's next in the digital world. This episode is brought to you by Session Interactive, the digital agency that helps brands grow through smarter, clearer marketing. Whether it's SEO, analytics, paid search, or content strategy, we help companies cut through noise and move the needle. Learn more at sessioninteractive.com. All right, today we've got David Stewart, VP of Innovation at Karsh Hagan. David and I have been close for a long time, and he's just a great person and a great influencer in the space. Karsh is a full-service digital agency, full-service agency here in Denver. David's work sits on the intersection of creativity and technology, helping brands design better user experiences, experiment with emerging tools, and align cross-functional teams around innovation. We're excited to talk through his journey and evolution of agency work and where creative tech is headed. David, always great to see you, man. Thanks for joining.
Yeah, good to see you too. That makes me sound pretty cool, man.
You are cool. I just whipped that up, no problem. You know, David, we always like to start with just getting some background. I mean, you've got a really impressive background. I've known you with your Karsh Hagan days, which you've been there for a while. But maybe talk about kind of where things started briefly, and then talk about what you guys are up to at Karsh and how you guys are really moving things forward.
Yeah, I got into the digital world about 95 when the internet first started. So I'm one of those old guys. And in school, I had a lot of talents. You know, I was into art, music, loved to write. So I was a bit of a do everything type of guy. Mm. And that made it hard for me to make a choice of what I was going to do. So when the internet came along, it had all of that, right? I could develop, I could create, I could do almost anything. So in 95, I read a book and I learned how to code. Mm. And then I started selling websites back then. You know, back then you could make like $200 an hour selling websites. So I did that, and then it just grew on me. And I then took a job at McDonald's Corporation, managing all their .coms, which was a lot of fun. I was the guy building the Happy Meal sites, Teeny Beanie Babies, things like that. So that was pretty cool. But I always had this drive to get into the agency world, to be more creative. You know, I always need a new problem to solve. So the agency world kind of did that. So when I moved to Colorado, I moved into agencies, went through a few here, did some pretty fun work, you know, Super Bowl sites and new mobile apps. When those came out, we did all that. And then Karsh came along, and Karsh was cool because it was a true creative agency, which I hadn't really worked at before. I've been in digital agencies, but I got to see what really creative people do. And that was really intense and fun. I realized I was not that creative and I needed people to help me do that. But we did a lot of, and have done a lot of fun work, you know, and it moved from websites more into MarTech stacks now, where CRM, everything got involved. So it got more complicated, which was even more fun for me because I love complex problems. And yeah, so now we're at Karsh and moving into the AI world, and that's what keeps me in the space. Probably you too, Tyler. You know, it just changes all the time. You're like, oh, cool. You know, you never look at it like a fear thing. You're always like, oh, this is going to be even better. So
yeah, I know.
That's where I'm at now.
I love it, David. Yeah, you're spot on in just terms of the creativity component around, and the flexibility and the nuance, and just the opportunity the agencies provide, right? And just the exposure is wild, right? And so that's always what I think you and I have been attracted to. Talk to me about innovation. That's your title, VP of Innovation at Karsh Hagan. Karsh, for so long, you know, creative powerhouse, now really has really morphed into more technology platforms, and really pushing the strategic angle of things. What's a day-to-day look like for you in terms of process, output, kind of culture at Karsh for your department, and how you influence innovation, and really inspire people around you?
So, yeah, probably like you, I've been the webmaster, the digital guy, the interactive guy, creative tech.
Yeah.
And really now a fun part is moving more into innovation, which affects every piece of the agency.
Mm-hmm. Of
So when we like a day to day, I'm watching trends, what's going on. We just talked about Google and what came out with AI,
course.
looking those types of things and really identifying, not just marketing opportunities, but what are business challenges for our clients and for ourselves, and what are platforms that can solve that, right? Tyler, you and I were just talking about that neurons tool
Mm-hmm.
where you can now get people see ads and get millions of data points back about, what's the best headline, what's the best visual. Those type of platforms are cool where we can take that and then combine that with the human creative element and come up with something that's not only going to be great for the brand, but then also perform very well. And then we can learn based on the data and get better. So we're looking more at platforms now and how we can have a bigger impact
Mm.
around our client's business and, the agency performance.
It's so true, David, when I mean, this is still happening and still does, of course, but a client's like has an acute issue, or, hey, we want you to run our media, or we want you to do this rebrand for us. And it's like, yeah, we can do that, but there's so much more we can benefit you guys with. And like the business immersion component, what you mentioned is outside of just marketing challenges. What are the business challenges? Right. And how can we get deeper here, to impact you in a variety of ways, not just an individual channel. So I really love that.
Exactly.
It's
Like not just marketing, but from an innovation standpoint, how's that tied to product?
totally,
How's
David.
that tied to the in-store experience?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
More of a look at the overall impact of your brand and how you implement that throughout your business.
Do agents or do clients, are they intimidated by that? Are they respect and acknowledge and are excited by those ideas, David, but do they lack the ability to implement? I think that's always not the pie in the sky of like, here's what we're doing now. Here's what we know we need to do, but we're limited by budget. We're limited by bandwidth. We're limited by our own creative abilities. Is that something you're running, or are you finding clients are like, we're all in, like, let's go? I'm sure it runs the gamut.
Yeah. So what do you think, Tyler?
Yeah.
I mean, you run a business too, right? You're
Yeah.
always change is difficult and
Change
taking
is difficult.
big
Yeah.
risk is always risky.
Mm-hmm.
But in the age of AI and the change that's going on right now, that's where we all have to embrace it. So
Mm-hmm.
it's a variety, right? You get some
Yep.
that are really risk takers and some that are risk averse.
Yep.
And I think that's where a lot, we have some clients that are very risk averse and you're just trying to get them to move a little bit. And that's part of the agency's role is to be that, I'm going to call it a coach,
Yes. Great way to
right?
put it.
Just to coach them along and get them going. And that's a role that agencies can do because we got lots of ideas and some are really big, but that's part of where our account team helps kind of temper that and we figure out the right groove with the client so we can help them.
Yeah. I think just the word that comes to mind to me is like finesse and flexibility,
It's a good one.
right? Or just around not trying to overwhelm a client, trying to give them an understanding of what's possible, but trying to be like, here's, incremental value. Yes, we could go, it's working, let's pour gas on it, right? But they're like, well, we don't have the budget necessarily or the internal infrastructure to take that on. So there's a respect component too with your finesse, if you will. So you got to make sure you don't ruffle the feathers and keep people happy and excited, and then where you're going. David, as you've evolved in your career, I'm curious, like some your proudest milestones. You've seen a lot, and we're obviously talking, and we will talk more about AI and technologies and platforms, things like that. But where are you proudest? Because when you started, you mentioned kind of a jack of all trades, a lot of different talents, and you were maybe not struggling, but maybe to a certain extent of like, okay, where do I focus? And then you pick the internet. Coming to Karsh, right? It's, as I mentioned, more of a traditional creative shop. Now it's evolved significantly. But what are some of your milestones that you're in particular? I mean, what are you proud of?
Milestones. Yeah, it's usually when, we're talking about risk, it's when you take the biggest risk. Is when
Mm,
you learn the most, when you grow the most.
yeah, exactly.
And trying to think of some. Oh, I know one. When I worked at Factory Design Labs, we were a digital shop, hot one in town.
Yeah.
Uh, and we had a client that wanted to basically rebuild an online TV station. And we're like, well, we don't really do that, but
Yep.
it sounds pretty cool. I bet we could do it. And we got together with a team and we're like, I think we could do this. There's this new framework out there called Ruby on Rails, and we could build this thing quickly.
Yeah.
And at the time, I was the head of the department. I'm like, oh man, that sounds pretty risky. But then we got in a room, we started specking it out, and before you know it, we had a pretty good idea. And we met with the client, and they approved the budget, and they said go. And we're like, cool.
Mm,
And we built that TV channel. It's called Mania TV. It
cool.
was a TV show here in Denver, and it worked. And the client was blown away. And we're like, we can build products. We're not just a digital agency. We can build products. We can do all these things. And that's where you really get excited. You're like, wow, the possibilities are amazing. And it's just because you took that one little risk and said, let's do this. I mean, what's the worst that could happen? It could fail. We
Yeah.
could lose that client, but it didn't. And it grew our business. And, we exploded after that. But those are pivotal moments when you realize you can do something that maybe you didn't think you could do.
That resonates so well. Just with my business and with others too. If you have a great core foundation of marketing and digital to a certain extent, and your approach with a challenge, it's like we can figure this out. Yeah, maybe our margin's not going to be great on this one right away because we don't really know how to scope it. But that's the exciting component, right? That gets you guys fired up, and you're like, let's figure this out. Let's dedicate some time. Let's scare ourselves a little bit because we don't know what's going on. But then you push it, and you become so much more innovative through that whole process. So good on you to be able to do that, and good on you, good on the client, right? To kind of take a chance, if you will, too, with you guys. I love that.
Yeah. And, sometimes you feel that with the team. You're like, I think we can do it.
Mm-hmm.
And those are moments that you don't forget in your career where you took a big risk, it worked. And you remember the failures too, but sometimes you just hit out of the park.
There's no failures, David.
Yeah.
There's no failures.
There's only learning experiences, right?
Exactly. Thank you. Let's reposition that, please. All right, let's transition. You and I have had numerous conversations over the last number of years, and we're both, I'd say, bullish on AI and really respect it and are excited by it. And I'd love to, what we're talking about, pretty much every podcast we've recorded thus far is just has an AI component because, yeah, it's exciting and it's changing, and it's there's a lot of positive. There's definitely quite a bit of negative associated with it too, depending on where you're coming from with it. I'd love to hear where you guys are with AI. Very broad statement there, maybe, and then we'll maybe get into some use cases. And then also, I'd love to hear too of how you've dealt with it on the creative standpoint, especially being such a really prominent creative shop here in Colorado. Are you using it for ideation? Are you using it as kind of a strategy buddy, if you will? Skepticism, things like that. Are people worried they're going to be replaced? So, yeah, we'll take it from there. A lot of parts to that question.
Yeah, that's a big one to unpack. So where we're at is we, of course, have Chat GPT Plus, right?
Yep.
Strategy is using it, creative is using it, we're using it in innovation.
Yep.
An area we're focused on is building custom GPTs. So, right, where you start to build your own bots, like our media team built an education coach for them. We built a blog bot. They both, do blogs in the brand, tone and voice of a brand. Mm-hmm. So that, I think, is the critical place everybody needs to play because you've got agents coming. And if you can build custom GPTs, you can move that into agents and then start to look at how you build workflows around agents, which obviously is being talked about a lot out there. And as far as everyone in the agency, some fear it a bit
Mhm.
course, right?
Yep.
And that's part of the innovation factors. You got to get over that and embrace this. I was just talking with Max at Kronos Interactive, one of
Mhm.
our partners, and he said it well. He's like, this is probably going to be the most exciting time to be alive ever. The amount of change that's going to happen is going to be thrilling. And as you said, it's a little scary. We don't know
Yeah.
where it's going,
Mhm.
but it's going to be thrilling. And we do have quite a few people at the agency that feel that way. And I think more are getting on board. The creatives are using Midjourney, of course,
Yep.
right? And they're a little freaked out by the latest release of Google's video platform,
Yeah.
but
Pretty
we've been
crazy.
using Runway, right? And we're using that. And then we had a fun little exercise. We actually wrote a song in Suno.ai, if you know that one.
I do.
It generates music, but it's like a one shot prompt situation where it generates it every time. But it had a feature where you could upload a song. So we then played a song in, and I'm a musician, so we did that, and then we got really good results because
Mm.
the melody was on, the rhythm was on. So playing with AI, trying things and experimenting,
Mm.
it's back to kind of that get over your fears and just try it. And everyone in our agency is really starting to embrace it. And then we're looking at lots of platforms like, I don't know if you've heard of Waldo, which is
Mhm.
like a strategy AI tool that
Yep.
kind of helps the strategy team.
Cool.
So we're looking at all these, and part of the innovation problem is paying for all this, right?
Much detail. Yeah.
Is monetizing it, but we're doing that. We have a thing called Karsh Tank
Okay.
now, where we
Cool.
all get together and pitch ideas,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. Yeah.
we're getting everybody to think more like entrepreneurs in
Mm.
investments in software platforms and how you can pay back. So that's been fun, and everybody's really excited about that. So I kind of rambled on there. We're doing a
Oh,
lot, and it's really starting to get fun, I would say now, where 6 months ago everybody was really scared. You're feeling some momentum now.
momentum. Yeah. Yeah. Good on you to just kind of mandate. I love the community source Karsh tank ideas just to keep the use case flowing. It reminds me a little bit around, Google in particular trying to monetize everything they can. When they came out, if you remember, they came out with Looker. They bought that company,
Yeah.
and to do dashboards, they had a survey functionality tool. They had kind of three or four other tools that completely they recognize the market and they're like, oh, we'll just build tools around these. There were other tools, their A/B testing tools and things like that. They were
Yeah. Use that.
exactly, and it was just wild. Like Google could just easily position and corner a market, whatever they want. It's wild to think like that. Um, and now, obviously, with so many tools out there, David, you bring up a good point around cost. One, and then two, for me, it's just like a lot of these are just reskinned, like layering on to chat, right? And
Yeah.
they're not providing any unique value that you couldn't get yourself without, some really quality prompt engineering skills. So yeah, I think how do you evaluate tools? Are you testing yourself? Are you you sign up and then, hey, we'll go through a litmus test, we'll run it through its paces, and then we'll decide what the next thing is, especially how things are changing so much, David. I mean, the iterations of chat, the iterations of other platforms that are coming out, Gemini in particular, um, cloud, et cetera. So those are changing quite a bit and rapidly. How do you evaluate and how do you prioritize?
So that's a good question. So we're writing business cases,
Yep.
right? We're
Mm-hmm.
looking through the finances of what it costs, how much money we can make. Of course, we're a business. We're trying to make profit. We want to make clients happy, but got to stay in business too. So that's what we're doing. And I agree with you. A lot of the AI platforms out there just kind of put a layer on ChatGPT where it's not providing a lot of value. It's just more organizing it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that's why we're still focused very much on ChatGPT. We're looking at Google though, as Google gets its enterprise tools. You saw in the latest release, now you can quickly like query a Google Sheet from Gemini.
But yeah, big time.
In there, I mean, they're killing it. I think Apple is behind personally.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Google's probably the leader next to OpenAI. It's all about how fast can OpenAI scale its tools to meet the business needs. But right now, and then to speak a little more broadly, a lot of the things we're doing are more agency efficiency. We haven't done a lot like client facing. The tools produce the results that go out, but we're still not really doing any generative AI type experiences. We're starting to pitch a few of those, which that's where the game gets really interesting, right?
Yeah.
Where then you got true interactive generative experiences happening versus just creating efficiency in the background. But to answer your question, we're trying things, right? And there's a tool called Creatopy. It's hard to pronounce, but that one sizes banner ads.
Mm.
And we ran the business case on that, and that one made sense right away. Like how much time it could save, how much time we spent creating all the versions of banner ads, which got you thinking about the world of personalization that's coming.
Oh yeah.
In the interface into sites and how that's going to change, and headless websites and access right to the database through AI, and how the AI agents are all going to talk to each other. So right now it feels like an efficiency play on the back end. That's where we're finding the most value, I think, to answer your question there.
How are you dealing with, you mentioned majority of the people are bought in. I think at Karsh, and we're dealing with this too. There's some skepticism, as I mentioned, some intimidation, like, hey, this is going to replace me. Talk about that. And in addition, the ethical and kind of moral concern of things, especially around uploading data sets for a client to an individual GPT or certain things that you're trying to get ideas from. What's kind of your rules or process you put into place around that for the ethical and moral? And then what are you guys doing around kind of bridging the gap and convincing people that, hey, we're not trying to replace you. This is meant to be a partner of yours, essentially.
So to answer your question, the thing I've learned about people is having differences of opinions is the best thing.
Best thing, yeah.
You want somebody in the room that fears it. Sometimes that can be the most creative person too. Like a traditional creative person can come up with some of the best ideas. They may hate AI, but if you pair them with a group of people that will do that part, that's where sometimes you get the best things.
I love it.
You don't want everybody surrounding you that just listens to you and believes you. That tension is what creates things that normally don't get done, right? I'm sure you felt that before, Tyler. Yeah. So that's big. So that's why I liked Karsh Hagan too, because we do have those traditional creative people that just come up with the craziest idea, and you look at it and you go,
what?
Okay,
Yeah.
I think there might be something there, but we got to figure that out. So that I think that tension's cool. And then as far as the ethical and moral, right now, if you sign up for custom like the ChatGPT Plus, that's fairly secure, right? It's a sandbox. They don't share anything with the other models. It doesn't learn anything off it. Will that continue to be the same? I don't know. Yeah. And I live in a world, I love Star Trek, right? Maybe you did too.
Trekkie.
When you listen to Picard or something, or any of those guys, they talk very specifically because they know everything they're saying is being recorded. And I just think that's the future we're going to live in. So, and that's the evolution of our species, maybe, not to get too deep. So ethical and moral, I always say, you got to get involved. If you disagree with what's going on, get involved and change it. Don't stand on the sideline and complain and throw rocks. Do something about it.
Yeah, I love it.
Right? You get involved, test, work with people, understand, and when things aren't going right, complain about it. It's why we live in a democracy. You can voice your opinion. Doesn't always mean everybody's going to listen.
Yeah.
At least you can be a voice on the right side of things. And that's what I would encourage everybody to do.
Yeah, and in a sense too, is like trying to, I think, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but kind of be an early adopter of certain things to test, form an opinion, and have some idea of what you're talking about, have some real world knowledge. Sounds fairly simplistic, but that's be amazed how many people don't have real world scenarios, and then of course place opinions on things.
Exactly. Yeah, get
Classic.
involved. It's kind of like the metaverse was like that, and it's still like that. It's
Oh yeah,
going on out
I like
there,
that.
but
Yeah,
people are like, isn't it just a gaming platform? You're like, you haven't been in it yet. It's like a
yeah.
whole nother world of things and its own financial system and all these things going on. If you get into it, it's super fascinating. If you don't, you're scared of it.
You're scared of it. Yeah, exactly. I always think just Ready Player One, that movie that came out a couple years ago. It was
Oh
just
yeah.
super cool. Uh, Personal use cases, David. I'm curious around. We're still in the AI tip here. Personal use cases that you're using. Have you replaced it as a search engine? Do you tend to use search engines differently now, and you tend to rely more on AI tools? And then second part there, your daughter's in college. We were talking about that before. Curious what she's seeing out there and what she's doing in classes, because that's like a curriculum game changer for positive and then sometimes significantly negative aspect, perhaps. Um, but yeah, curious use cases there and maybe what you're seeing with your daughter and her educational space.
So personal use case, I usually start with ChatGPT first,
Mhm.
right? And ask questions. I have done some perplexity searching too. And then I validate it with Google. So I
Interesting.
still go out and validate,
Yeah, yeah.
you're not sure that ChatGPT is always correct.
Mhm.
So that's kind of the personal use case. And then I'm building all kinds of bots. I love that space.
Yeah, yeah,
If
yeah.
I can
You're always
build
doing cool
something
stuff.
that
Yeah,
can repeat a process, I'm doing that all the time. And then, of course, we use some AI platforms too, the bigger ones that are interesting, the ones that add a lot of value. And then my daughter, we talked about it a few times. She is a studier, so she's pretty
Mhm.
studious. So she uses Chat GPT. She does talk about people cheating, right, and
Oh
writing
yeah, sure.
papers. But from what I know, the universities are getting pretty good at detecting that. And then it's not hard sometimes to read something and know it was generated. Uh,
Mm.
but she's definitely using Chat GPT. We've, instilled in our kids, you got to learn. Cheating your way through life just isn't going to get you anywhere. Although some people do try that. So
Sure.
I know she uses it and she doesn't talk about it much, but she has talked about a few cheating incidences where people have gotten busted using ChatGPT to write papers and things like that.
Yeah, I'm sure. And it's becoming more and more difficult too, especially you can train it voice, tone. I mean, it's not that difficult to train it up, right? And make minor edits. Um, but yeah.
And it's happening in high school too. So
Oh
my
yeah.
son's seen it happening, and we encourage him not to use it. I don't think he's using it, but we don't know what our kids are doing all the time. The internet's out there.
I
You
know.
can't stop it. In personal use case, I lock everything down here at my house,
Hmm.
but who knows what the neighbors are doing, or just go to a coffee shop. It's a big challenge. I mean, that's a big one to unpack when you talk about AI on the internet and kids and they're growing up with it and how they use it and where that's going. Your kids are young, Tyler, so
Yeah, I know. Well, I'm thinking about it a lot, David. I mean, I think about my day to day, and I'm barely typing anymore. Right? It's all audio
yeah.
dictated. I use different tools that integrate with AI tools to just make things so much more efficient. And then I always need to edit it, but it's audio dictated. So yeah, I'm not really writing too much. I really wasn't writing too much before when in terms of handwritten. In terms of before, with computers, my handwriting is, as many people know, is terrible. And now with
Too.
computers, it's not so much. So, and then it's funny too, David, just like spelling and things like that. Like that's not something you need to worry about as much anymore. With you're layering on audio recording, and then you integrate with a tool like chat, and then Grammarly and other things. It's like, wow, they're just doing so much for you already. um, so a lot of benefit, but also because we've all experienced when we didn't have all these tools, so we're taking advantage. But there's also, it's like, wow, it's like, I don't know, if I know we're learning more, but then also it's like, we're doing less? Are we learning less, right? Or is it making us a little bit less, or so reliant on these tools?
Yeah, and that's where I think tools that contribute to human learning or critical, like Grammarly. I use that, but it also prompts you and tells you what you're doing wrong all the time.
Sure.
So you
That's
can
true.
start to correct it. And
Yep.
then I just got a Grammarly report going, you've improved 10%. You're like, all right. So it depends on how you use them,
Yeah.
right? You can use them to educate yourself, which I would highly encourage. And I was just thinking of something, I'm doing something fun right now. I have a journal I've been writing.
Yeah.
Once AI came out, I'm like, I'm going to start writing a journal because I want to analyze myself and see
Cool.
what is important and what isn't important. And so I've been doing it for 3 years now. And I did analyze it. And lo and behold, I found out that what are my most important moments in life? Your family.
Your family. Yeah.
Because I rated every post and it was hands down. It just went through the list of here are your most important moments. And it was all like kids graduating high school. My son got an award for track. So that's a good thing,
Mm.
when you can get something that will help you be a better person. I'm all in on that, right?
Sure. Sure. I think you're hearing more of those use cases, like on the personal component, the reflection aspects, but also, the use cases for the medical world.
Oh yeah.
Obviously, there's definitely quite a bit of pros on education, other things for business, of course, other things. But so there's, argument for both sides. And I think we're really in a place where this is really new for a lot of people. And it's, and we're trying to all figure it out as things change so rapidly. Talk to me, David, about motivation. You've been in this space for a long time. You're seeing so many things change. We just went over some milestones. We ran over kind of paradigm shifts that you had at Karsh and evolution you've had. I'm thinking, you're the motivation aspect. Are you motivated based on obviously the clients and delivering great results? Is it a combination of that and some being able to just learn new things and participate in AI and other things like that? And talk to me about kind of your ability to stay motivated and stay kind of on the cutting edge.
Yeah. And we kind of talked about it. That's why I'm
Yeah,
in this business because
sure.
there's just a different problem every day. You can go to bed going, oh, I think I have it all figured out. And the next day it's like, oh my God,
Yeah,
it
I'm
blew
good.
up in one day, right? Or we have a creative campaign
Mm-hmm.
going and the creative idea, the client changed on you. And you're like, okay, they took the main idea out. How do we still make this interesting? And so that keeps me going every day. And it's kept me in this business. Some people say, why do you want to be in the advertising business? I go, I don't know, man. It drives me crazy because I could have gone more into tech. But it's kind of back to that creative element.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Creativity keeps me moving every day. Whether it's writing a new song or coming up with a new way to do tech on a project or think differently about a client problem or even analytics. I'm over analytics right now and that's not an easy thing to do. I have an analogy for that. It's called crawling through the desert.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's so many data points and actually finding the ones that show value or move the needle. Um, so I love that part too, like the complexity. Like when someone says, "Oh, well, I don't think David could figure that out," I'm like, "All right,
It's a
I'm getting
job.
up tomorrow and I'm going to figure that out." Right. So that keeps me going. Like when someone says you can't do something, that energizes me, and I might be weird that way, but
Oh, I
that's
love
just
that.
me.
Yeah, I'm going to start using that with you in our next lunch. Like, you
There
can't
you
do
go.
that. Do a bunch of free work or something for us. Uh, I love that, David. I think I've always just gravitated towards you because of your ability, your around the creativity, your passion for learning it is contagious, and I really appreciate that component that you bring all the time, and I clearly bring at Karsh as well. Where do you think, aside from AI, but yeah, we can talk about that more, of course. But where do you think select agencies are falling behind? I think to give you some examples, like let's say, we're an agency, obviously we're fixated on search, SEO, paid, and analytics primarily. We do other services as well. But we're not going to be full service, right? That's really not what we're trying to provide to our clients. And in certain cases, I think that's a disservice. Other cases, I'm like, no, we need to specialize, and we're not going to be a jack of all trades necessarily. Again, no, that there's plenty of agencies that do that really well. Where do you think select agencies are maybe, again, falling behind or not keeping up with the trends and maybe not correctly serving their clients? And I'm curious, where do you think the agency model is going to evolve to over the next 3 to 5 years?
If I knew all that, I could make a lot of money, right?
Figure that out and help you right now, David. Can you?
um, I, I mean, I applaud you guys because I still think analytics is a challenge for a lot of agencies.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you know that too. It's hard to find, like I said, the right KPIs to measure the value and show clients that you're bringing results, even though we can do a big campaign and obviously sales went up and impressions went up. But when they start to dig in and ask about the specific numbers, that's hard to do. So I say in the bigger agencies, that's still a challenge. And then, I think it comes back to running a business.
Yeah.
We all want to be creative and do these things, but it's where you find your business model. So I can appreciate what you guys do as well and staying in that niche and getting really good at it. So that's a tough one, to give people advice. I think it's, know what you're good at and know what you'd like to do. Because in a creative agency, creativity, all that's happening. But in a digital agency, there's a lot of value in what you guys do too. And maybe you enjoy that more. And if, from my experience, the true digital and the creative, bringing those together is very difficult. So again, what drives your economic engine? What do you like to do? What risks can you take? It's more of a personal business thing. I don't think there's any one solve for everybody.
Exactly.
I mean, that's what I've learned.
Yeah.
And I think when you try to do everything for everybody, that usually doesn't work either.
Yeah.
Specializing in some cases and then realizing, and this gets into the world that we're moving into, you can't know everything. I've made that mistake before. And I would admit it. And I would give credit to an account director at Factory that told me that once. I was trying to do everything, and she said, "David, you can't know everything. You know that?" And I looked at her and I went, "No, I was trying to learn everything."
No,
so, right?
How dare you?
Rely on partners, find people that are good at things. And when you got to build something big, you bring the right teams together and then you can do anything.
Yeah.
So I think that answered your question. I don't know.
Oh yeah. And that's what again, another thing the appreciation I have for you too is just knowing what you're good at and knowing, okay, when we need a partner or like you said, like, let's be resourceful. And that's what I've learned from you too, is just your network is essential. Hey, you're going through an RFP, you're going through a problem, or you need a quick help, or someone to jump on a call. That you've got so many partners out there that'll easily go to bat for you or come to your aid and aren't looking to nickel and dime you or anything like that. They want to help, and I think that really comes down to just what you've been able to accomplish, and then your own notoriety in this space, David, because it's been really impressive.
Yeah. One more thing I'll add there is, know what you know, right? And then the other thing I learned is tell the truth and be honest. For clients, when they say, "Can you do this?" You go, "Well, we've done this. I think we're going to need 2 other partners to make this happen, and we can do this." Or, we're not the right people for that. And I think you should just talk to this team over here. So being honest, admitting mistakes, telling the truth goes a long way.
Yep. The honesty component, just within the sales process, I've been through so many different agencies and certain things where they're just like overselling or committing to things that, we could figure out, but like unrealistic deadlines, or just like really oversharing or overselling rather. And then that doesn't bode well for anyone. So I think the honesty piece is huge, and that tends to go a long way with just establishing the better rapport with those clients and just maintaining that respect. So
definitely.
David, always good to see you. Wrapping things up here, where can people interact and engage with you? I know you're active on social a bit, and then talk to where people can find more about Karsh.
So LinkedIn is probably the best place to hit me. And my handle's Light Stewart, Leuz Stewart, Stewart on LinkedIn. And obviously, you can look us up at our website, karshhagan.com. It's KARSHHAGAN.com. Pretty proud of that site. We did a little metaverse thing. We got a little 3D deer going on there. So
You make some changes recently? You make some updates recently?
We haven't, but that was a fun project because I challenged the team. The metaverse is coming and you guys need to do something. And they came up with that idea. And I'm like, that's pretty cool, guys. All right.
Yeah, check it out. Yeah. I always love, checking on your website every once in a while and the fun things are going on there. David, great to see you. We'll catch up offline soon. Thanks again for your time.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
Thanks for listening to Built to Convert. If you're serious about growth, don't just listen. Subscribe, leave a review, and follow us for new episodes that drop straight into your feed. Until next time, keep building.